think the commercial industry is really pushing what we thought was possible in the fields. I think with reusable rockets, it came from the commercial industry. But it wasn't by itself. I think government played a huge role that I think a lot of us don't really kind of appreciate or are thankful for. SpaceX would not have existed without NASA either. But I think it's a combination of the two. Commercial industry is pushing things because they're taking more risks. They're doing things a lot faster, and they're spending their money without having to justify why they're spending it, except for like their investors, rather than to the taxpayers. So I think the commercial industry is really doing an incredible job at pushing it. Our side of the world, the Middle East and Africa, we are noticing that it is touching so many of the fields that we need day to day. Every single person in this hall, and including yourself, myself, and everyone, we need space. And I think it's really important to communicate why and how we're using it, how we're using space technology. We're using remote sensing, you're using it to find out about the weather, for your GPS, for so many different things. And these are like just a few to name. We're using so much of the technology that we've been developed for space, and we're using it to solve problems here on Earth. Some parts of the heart transplant, of the heart valve came from a technology that was initially developed for space. A lot of the things that we use day to day is like that. So I think we are noticing more and more that we're understanding that we can't be just reliant and dependent on buying the data from somewhere else, and we have to be where we need to have the technology to be able to send those satellites to collect this data ourselves. And not only when we're talking about satellite imagery and remote sensing, we need to be doing it for so many other fields, because if we don't see its importance, we're going to fall behind. So for me, at Deep Space Initiative, we've been trying to do that. We've been trying to increase access to the space field by providing opportunities in research and education, and also working on the legal side. And we don't have this barrier of nationality. When we have researchers from 60 nationalities from all over the world, 47 projects, and what we're trying to do also in the future is commercialize some of them in the region. I think the region does have a huge chance to become huge players in the field. We're seeing how much has been done in a very short period of time compared to a lot of other countries that have had space stations and what they've been able to achieve. The UAE has done so much, honestly. Particularly in this region, I think UAE has been a leader. Saudi Arabia is doing a lot of things too. I think there are about 22 space agencies around Africa, not that many. They're still small. Most of them are very small. Most of them are only focused on satellite development because it kind of just goes with the needs of each country, like how much you can afford in the space field, to just kind of like solve the problems you have really closely. The UAE has a very long-term vision. They've mentioned that in 100 years, I believe, or so, something like that, that they will have presence on Mars. You can correct these facts. I'm not completely sure of the numbers, but they do have a vision to go to Mars. They have a vision to go to the moon. They have a vision and I think they are already doing it to make the data accessible to everyone. So they are sharing the data open source. So they do have a vision to make it accessible for everyone. UAE is partnering with so many different countries at the same time. They're definitely working towards national interest, but also really truly seeing the value of international collaboration. So in the region, I think UAE has a lot of potential, to be honest. I could see that. And we're just hoping to become the leaders by continuing the work that we're doing and by involving more and more of the developing countries too, because I think they bring in so much talent, they bring in so much value, and they bring in a different perspective that is needed also. I think that's something we don't really often consider, and we have to have also a say in those decisions that are being made about us.